them before the tournament, and he was really a little bit shook up about his back injury at Queens. He was a little bit concerned coming in here. I think he was happy to have a qualifier in the first round. He didn't know who it would be at that point, but he feels that he needs to get a few matches under his belt before he can feel confident in what he's doing out there. And as we see Phil Dent here on the right-hand side, former Australian great, really. Played very well in Davis Cup competition for Australia. Matter of fact, he lost to McEnroe here in the quarterfinals in '77.
Tyler Dent to serve, first set.
Boy, Agassi's got an awful lot of energy. I think we're going to see it right from the start. He might spray the ball a little bit because he just feels like playing.
It is Taylor Dent.
Look at him.
Serve. Yeah.
Let second service.
Andre Agassi, as you mentioned, said he's all right, although 2 weeks ago had to withdraw from that Queen's Club tournament. The warm-up for Wimbledon after he had injured his back in a spill. He said he felt a significant sharp pain when he fell.
There's a nice start from Taylor Dent. Grass is a natural surface for him. His father, coming from Australia, growing up in the era with grass court tennis being predominant in the majors, has passed that tradition on to his son as he comes out with a huge serve there. He's got a cannon for a serve. He's a big young kid out there on center court.
Physically imposing. That's 6'2", 6'3", 195 pounds.
Very much so. He's very much a presence. I don't think he's really grown into his body yet. I think he's still in the process of finding himself. But he's not afraid to lay it out there right away. I think he realizes he's on the center court at Wimbledon. He's out there giving everything he's got, not afraid to get dirty right away. A little bit of a slip there, too.
He said that he was somewhat starstruck at Indian Wells, but feels he's gotten over that hurdle for Wimbledon. He did play in the Wimbledon Junior Championships here in '97, lost in the first round.
Well, playing in the juniors is definitely not the same as playing Andre Agassi on center court here.
Welcome to the NFL.
Welcome to the big time. And Andre finds himself slipping and sliding out there early as well.
40-30.
He doesn't want to find himself on the ground too much. Bad memories from when he slipped at Queens. Definitely does want to stay on his feet.
For Agassi, his 10th appearance at Wimbledon, won it 1992 with that dramatic 5-set victory. Last year, went to the finals.
Then first game.
Beating Gustavo Kuhrt, Patrick Rafter along the way, then lost to Sampras, straight sets. Now let's switch over. Moments ago, Mark Philippoussis serving for the match against Austrian Jürgen Meltzer.
Out. Game, set, match. Philippoussis.
Match point. So Mark Philippoussis tested by Jürgen Meltzer and takes it in 4 to advance to the second round. Back to center court. Andre Agassi on serve. Guys, you look back at the career of Andre Agassi, who admits he had fallen off the map about 2.5 years ago and has come back so strong. Did you both think it was over, tennis-wise?
I think we were both so surprised he'd fallen to 141. That was the surprise that he got that far down, not really that he could come back up again. And he's got so much talent. What he was lacking was desire.
Well, at 141 in the world, it was hard for anyone, I think,
14
to think that he would actually even consider coming back after all the success he'd had early in his career. You know, he had to drop down. He went down to the
Agassi.
challenger level on the tour, which, like going to the minor leagues in baseball, is not someone of a player who's played at the level he's played and also been so public and such a superstar to go down there is very rare and very commendable for him to go down there and suck it up, really. And he was playing matches where he was flipping the scorecards to show what the score was. But the beautiful thing about Andre was that he relished it. He knew it was a project. He knew it was a challenge. He knew he couldn't just say, okay, today I want to play again, and it would be there. He knew he had to build from scratch again, and he did it. As we see a nice touch volley by Taylor Dent. Pete Sampras had an interesting quote. He said, you know, I respect and admire Andre for coming back, but I don't respect him for dropping as far as he did. I don't think Pete really understands it.
They're very different animals.
Very different animals. Andre has a lot of things going on apart from tennis in his life. Pete simplifies things, keeps the focus on the tennis aspect of his life, and that served him very well, no question. But Andre Agassi, when he puts his mind to playing tennis, is going to be within the top 3, clearly. He's one of the best ball strikers the game's ever seen, and certainly the best clean ball striker we have on tour right now. His hand-eye coordination is exceptional. Serves him very well here on the grass, where your hand-eye speed needs to be better than anywhere. Taylor Dent, pretty good technique there. I think his father's coached him pretty well. A little long on the follow-through, but all in all, pretty solid. But so is Andre Agassi's technique. See, he hammers one right past him.
30 all.
Just cracks it.
40-30.
Taylor Dent is bringing some serious heat with that serve. That thing just sounds impressive.
Game. Dent.
That previous serve, 125 miles per hour, and Dent holds serve. And there is Andre Agassi's girlfriend, Steffi Graf, who has accompanied Andre most of the season. Winner of 22 Grand Slam singles titles. And a look at the fastest serves by Dent and Agassi. Well, apparently they took 1 mile per hour off the original number, 124 per hour for Dent. What's it like going up against the big serve?
15.
Well, seeing a serve, as we watch right off the line there, watch Taylor just drop this volley over the net. It's coming off on a grass court in particular, a big, heavy serve like that. I think some people will sense that even though his serve 124, as we watch the birds get a little friendly. I think when you're
this crowd, incidentally, easily entertained, as is Andre.
I think the thing about Taylor Dent's serve is 124 mile an hour that's not a huge serve by tour standards these days, but it's a heavy serve, and there is a difference between the speed of the serve and the weight of the serve, and he's a big guy. He's got weight behind his serve, like a Philippoussis, who I think he plays a lot like. I think he's tried to pattern his game, in my opinion, after a Philippoussis, where he tries to take big cuts at the ball off both sides, tries to powder his serve as much as he can, and he plays a nice all-court game.
30 all.
A little too frisky with that one, though.
Very obvious he doesn't want to spend any time on the baseline against Agassi.
That's not the place he wants to be against Agassi. He's not the fleetest of foot yet. I think he can get better at that, but at this point in his career, he's not the quickest guy out there, and Agassi will jerk you around.
40, 30.
I think Agassi in a match like this, if he could, he would very much like to move Dent around early and try and wear him out. Maybe take some of the sting out of his serve. Maybe take his legs out of it a little bit early in the match. It's more difficult to do on grass than any other surface, but I think that's what Andre would like to do here.
Deuce.
They go to deuce.
What's nice to see is Andre doesn't seem to be worried about his health at all. He's out there running and swinging pretty much with abandon out there. Wants the ball girl back at the net. Players often like seeing everything as is. Well, it's a huge forehand by Taylor.
He's swinging with abandon as well.
Advantage Dent.
Pretty good poise he's brought to center court today.
He's swinging with youth, with no expectations. Anything he does out there today is a bonus. He's not expected to win, and he's playing like it.
Wow.
Game Dent.
So a service break. And Taylor Dent up 3-1 in this first set.
Dent leads by 3 games to 1.
This Taylor Dent's first ever Wimbledon. Prior to this week, his only previous ATP Tour level match was back in March at Indian Wells, where he lost in the first round.
This is why someone, again, he's been very successful going to the net. He'll keep that up as much as he can this match. But Mark, what happens is you don't see it as much on the women's side. A woman ranked 233 in the world, you can't see them challenging the #1 or 2 woman in the world. But a guy like this, it's very different on the men's side. If you've got a big serve, you can go up against anybody. That means that matches are going to be decided by tie breaks or one break.
So you rarely see the major upset
15 all.
in the big tournaments. In the women's side.
It's harder. It's much, much harder. But as I said, so many guys can take care of their serves. And that's why there are no easy rounds anymore on the men's side.
Taylor looking a little confused up there over why he was slipping and sliding a little bit
15.
as he goes to hit this overhead. Andre throws a surprise lob up. A little uncertain with his footwork, but he still manages to get it off the court. As we see Agassi's big strength on grass, the return of serve.
30 all.
He's going to need to do it well against Dent if Dent has a good serving day. But he takes very little backswing on that forehand, blocks the ball down. Dent has very little time to react. Dent wanting to get in a Sampras-esque jump overhead in early. He likes that shot. I've seen him practice it.
.30.
Well, Taylor Dent serving to go up 4-1 in this first set.
Game Dent.
A very impressive start for the 19-year-old Taylor Dent against the second seed Andre Agassi. Welcome back to Wimbledon, and we're at center court. Taylor Dent off to the fast start, 4-1 on Andre Agassi in the first set.
Agassi has obviously a very Very solid record against qualifiers. So back in '96, he lost in the first round to qualifier Doug Flack.
Andre Agassi, only the 5th man in the history of tennis to win all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. U.S.
15
Open,
off.
Wimbledon, French, and Australian. Capping it off by winning the French last year. Also won the U.S. Open for the 2nd time.
all.
Struggling a little bit on serve in the early going here. Jim, you know, you've faced a lot of qualifiers. You know they've already played 3 matches. They've been striking the ball well to get there.
They're coming in with a lot of confidence. That's something that, even though they're ranked lower than the guys who are direct entrances into the tournament, they have gotten 3 matches in on that surface. Can be really a disadvantage sometimes. The guy who's won 3 matches coming in, he's
30-15.
feeling good about himself. He's feeling no pressure because he's playing a guy like Andre Agassi out here. Taylor Dent's won 3 matches without dropping a set in the qualifying. So he's got to be feeling good about the way he's playing, and he knows that no one expects him to win out here. Just let her rip. And on the other side of the coin, Andre knows that he's had 3 matches. Andre's unsure coming into this match about his status health-wise. His confidence is not where he'd like it to be. So we're down 4-1.
We've been talking about Taylor Dent's dad, one-time Australian standout Phil Dent. His mother,
40-30.
Betty Ann Stewart, who reached the U.S. Open doubles final in 1977, a top 10 player in the United States. Pretty good genes for Taylor Dent.
Game, Agassi.
Agassi holding serve.
These are very good genes. Let's think for a moment if Andre Agassi and
Let's
Steffi
buy
Graf
4 games to
have children, what kind of genes that athlete would have.
Probably be a computer nerd. I say that only in a nice way, though.
Of course.
How often that happens that it's not an athlete. Or maybe a sportscaster.
Love 15.
Might be interchangeable there, actually.
Well, this is where Agassi needs to turn it around if he's going to turn this first set around. 4-2. That's a lovely shot by Taylor Dent there. Answers Agassi's passing shot with a nice cross-court angle volley. Good return by
15-0.
Agassi. That pass didn't have as much as he'd like to have on it, but it was a nice low first volley by Dent.
I've been very impressed so far with Taylor Dent at the net. He knows he's got to do his business from up there. He's going to be waist deep in very tough volleys all day long. Look at that. See, I've been waiting for Agassi to do that, to like get this guy off the net a little bit. Let him feel all that heat.
No, and that's a very smart play by Agassi. Go right at him and say, listen, hey, pal, it's not going to be this easy the whole match. I'm here. I'm going to play.
So his body language is much different now. He's looking for his chances.
It's an impressive volley by Taylor Dent there. Sometimes Agassi shanked that return, and that gives the ball some funny spin. And that can be difficult at times to judge, but he judged that nicely and put a deep volley because he knows if he doesn't hit a nice firm volley that Agassi's going to be all over him.
Again, gave him the heat.
30-40.
And here's his first break point chance, Andre Agassi. This will put us right back on serve. That 4-1 lead of Taylor Dent's sounded a lot fatter than it really was. Second serve to noodle around with for Andre Agassi. And he'll let this rip too.
That's Nice tennis from Taylor
Use.
Dent. Came up with a big second serve there. Agassi responds with a decent return at his feet. Dent makes a nice pickup. Forces Agassi on the run there. I'd like to see Agassi try and take that backhand return down the line. See how the lateral movement is for the big guy. Certainly no problem getting back for the overhead there.
Advantage Dent.
Advantage for Dent.
Game then. 4
So
points, please.
Taylor Dent with a 5-2 lead against Andre Agassi in the first set. 5-2 lead for Dent in the first set. 19-year-old Taylor Dent jumping in front of the second seed Andre Agassi. Earlier on center court, as we brought you live on TNT, it was Jan Michael Gamble, 23-year-old from Spokane, California, upsetting the 7th seed Australian Leighton Hewitt. Yesterday we saw Vince Spadea, an American, with the upset on the 14th seed Great Britain's Greg Rosetsky.
And Dent makes a nice play to try and play aggressively here. Up 5-2. Might as well go ahead and keep playing aggressively.
Oh, man.
And Andre plays a
15-0.
sloppy volley
He
there.
walked right into that volley. He never stopped.
Sometimes when Andre gets in this position, he just writes this set off. He just says, you know what? It's going to be too much work for me to get back into this set. I'm just going to throw that one away. I've got 3 sets to win. I'm going to still the same project from the beginning of the match. I'll spot you a set, and then here we go. And if he's coming to the net, that's what that tells me.
This didn't look like a sincere
15,
approach to
30.
you.
No, this one didn't have a whole lot of mustard on it. That was right in the sweet spot for Taylor to take a nice, firm whack at, which he obliged us with.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Beautifully done by Taylor Dent.
That's just very,
15,
very
14.
sweet timing here.
That's a nice pickup. Just half volleys it. That's a shot we'll see Agassi make from time to time, but wasn't expecting that from Taylor Dent.
Double set point.
Game first set, Dent. 6
So
points to 2.
Taylor Dent takes the first set 6-2. Back on center court, a quickie, 25 minutes, 6-2. Dent over Agassi in the first set.
Love 15.
And I like Taylor Dent's eyes after he won the first set. He was keeping them low, almost like he didn't want to look around and realize where he was. Trying to stay in the moment, which is a wise move.
$15-0.
So as we see these stats, Agassi surprisingly with a much better first service percentage than Dent. But the big stat, winners to errors. 14 winners to 2 unforced errors by
first
Taylor
service.
Dent on his first go at Wimbledon center court. He'll remember that one.
Good strategy.
Yes, very much so. Missed the first serve, but hit lots of winners.
Look at that.
30-15.
Taylor Dent began playing tennis at the age of 10. Said his dad did not put the pressure on him. Phil Dent, son of a one-time Australian player. Phil Dent, a top 20 guy who reached the Australian Open final back in 1974. Lost to
40-15.
Jimmy Connors, and his son continues to fire rockets. Third ace for Dent.
Taylor Dent's mom could play as well. I
40-13.
remember Betty Ann Stewart very well. She had a lovely all-court game. Could play on anything.
That drops in, but even so, Andre's not connecting solidly on the ball, which he's the best ball striker out here. For him to be shanking balls out there is, that's not a good sign for him. One thing I don't like to see in Andre is his eyes don't have that intensity when he's really playing very, very well. His eyes show you that he's really intense.
Well done by Andre Agassi. So it's advantage
Agassi.
Agassi and a break point.
Maybe a shot like that is going to get him into the match. If he can get this break, maybe he'll start tuning it in.
Deuce.
But a very nice jam serve by Dent there. Smart play to neutralize Andre by going to the body sometimes. Players forget that serve. They try and go to the corners too often. Body serve on grass, very effective.
Advantage Agassi.
Nice forehand down the line. That's 2 in a row on that side.
Break point for Agassi. So Agassi breaks serve. Andre Agassi coming off the Queen's Club tournament, forced to retire because of the injured back. Jim had a chance to talk with Andre about his preparation for Wimbledon.
My confidence isn't incredibly high. I haven't had the matches. I certainly don't feel like I'm in the best position, but I do know in my mind, and being there before is a big thing to call on, and knowing that, okay, getting through the first week is it for me. I feel like then I can really expect my game to be at its best, but that's a big challenge.
Something that struck me about that conversation with Andre was that I remember in '92 when he won the tournament here, he didn't come in with much match play. He didn't come in with any match play. He came in hitting on the hard court and went on to win the title. And I think that Andre just needs to go ahead and say, you know what? I know what to do out here. He remembers what it takes to win out here. He knows what it takes. He was in the final here last year. All he has to do is just decide, you know what? I'm going to play some good tennis right here. I've been playing well. He's just got to step it up a notch and make up his mind that he's going to go forward with this. He's going to give everything he's got, no matter what the circumstances are. Wimbledon comes around once a year. I don't care if you're injured. You've got to step up to the plate and give everything you got.
And you get the idea that he feels the toughest part is getting by these early round matches.
40 long.
Well, I think the dangerous thing about playing someone like Taylor Dent for Andre is he might not be thinking that this is going to be much of a contest, and he goes out there thinking he's going to be up a break of serve just on reputation, and all of a sudden Taylor's playing incredibly well like that, just taking a big cut and hitting winners on his serve, and he finds himself down a set trying to figure out, okay, I'm in a match right now. I'm going to have to start playing. I'm going to have to start figuring out what I need to do against this guy. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
Game Agassi.
Agassi holding serve.
I expect to see him bear down. He's up 2-love now in the second set. He has the break in hand. If he can go ahead, just get another break right here, I think we might see Taylor Dent show some signs of nerves for the first time in this match.
$15 love.
Fourth service ace for Taylor Dent.
A few more errors creeping into Dent's game right here.
He's already had a couple in this very young second set, and he only made 2 in the first. And Andre's getting some more rallies going as well, which is just what he wants, to turn this into a little bit more of a road match.
That's right.
Track meet. See, once the point becomes at all conversational, you have to like Agassi.
Absolutely.
15-30.
Dent would be the first one to tell you that he doesn't want any part of a baseline rally against Andre. He wants into the net as fast as possible.
Left first service.
There are not that many guys on the tour who want a part of Agassi at the baseline.
Andre Agassi likes making matches physical.
And well, he should. He's worked very hard on his fitness. Gil Reyes, his strength and conditioning coach.
Out.
Ooh, Taylor disagrees with that one.
15-40.
Andre's been very diligent about his strength and conditioning. He's a guy that, unlike a lot of tennis players, lifts a lot of weight to get a lot of strength into his body, and he gets more weight on his shots because of it. A lot of guys don't want to lift weights because they feel like it might affect their timing. But not Andre.
30-40.
Well, he's got break point right here. He's 1 of 4 on break points, but if he can take this one, 2 breaks in hand, it'll be very difficult for Dent to find his way back into this set.
Just out.
Deuce.
Back to deuce. Andre is probably the only guy I know of on the tour who has bench pressed 300 pounds. I'd have a hard time bench pressing Mary.
Actually, we would like to see that.
Advantage.
Anything for the network.
But Andre really feels like that's a part of his success, having that strength in his body. He feels like he can hurt guys. He's done the running, he's done the conditioning, but he has that strength, which is an extra component. Earlier this year in the Australian Open, he was looking forward to punishing guys in the heat down there, keeping them on the court as long as possible, as we see Taylor throw in a double where he doesn't need one.
I was talking to Andre about the final he played against Yevgeny Kafelnikov, and he said, I knew, and Kafelnikov was up 2 breaks against him, up 4-love in the first set, and he said, I love the match. I knew I was going to win it. What do you mean? You're down 4-love in the first set? He said, I knew I was going to win it. It was the match I wanted to play. It was very hot. We were having very long, tough, physical rallies. I knew that's the kind of match I wanted. Of course, he went on and won.
It's amazing how the fitness mentality has changed, not only in tennis, but so many sports. Another
Advantage. Agassi.
break point.
Well, it has changed in tennis. I think we can give Ivan Lendl a lot of credit for that. He was a guy who really took fitness to another level on the tour. And I think if more guys find out that Andre's been training this way, they might try and do it as well. It's one of those copycat situations where guys having success, others will try and follow. They look for every edge they can get.
Back to deuce. Agassi up 2-love, second set. Dent taking the first set, 6-2.
But that makes sense for Andre down in Australia. Okay, so he's down 4-love against Kafelnikov in the final. As long as he's playing the long rallies and he's tiring Kafelnikov out, that's what he's interested in. He says, I can throw the first set away as long as I get fatigue in Kafelnikov's legs. I'll have him on the ropes. It's like a boxer getting someone worn out early. They know they're going to be able to knock them out later in the match. Ooh, right on the line. Nice hands by Taylor Dent.
Advantage. Dent.
Again, I'm impressed. Dent protecting the net, coming up with a nice little glove save there.
Thinks that ball might be a little bit flat. Of course, the Schlesinger Ball Company would not be happy with that.
Taylor looking for the lively ball.
I think he's looking for any ball that will bounce normally. I think he probably felt that one was a little flat.
Taylor Dent holding serve. 2-1 Agassi. Second set. It is just past 7 p.m. in London, and when you're in this area, you always want to check the time with Big Ben. We are live on TNT Center Court. Marv Albert, Jim Courier, Mary Carrillo, and the 19-year-old Taylor Dent out of Newport Beach, California, winning the first set against second seed Andre Agassi. It is now Agassi up 2-1 in the second set, and Agassi on serve.
At that point, we see both players trying to do what they want to do here. Agassi trying to keep Dent back, but Dent saying, no, I want to get into the net. Wasn't successful that time, but that's what he's trying to do out here. That's his strategy.
Love.
Another good strategy against a guy like Andre Agassi is to try to win the match in straight sets. The longer this match goes, the less I like Taylor Dent's chances.
40 love.
Jim, you go back with Andre to your days at Nick Bollettieri's tennis academy when you're both were teenagers. What was Andre like then in terms of preparation for the game?
Andre's preparation usually consisted of as he tags, Taylor Dent puts a little tattoo on him. Andre's preparation really was deciding which outfit he was going to wear for the match. He was such a gifted player. I mean, so much more talent than most of the kids that really, he would just show up and play. That was pretty much it. Practicing was not his favorite thing. School not his favorite thing. Just a very gifted tennis player, and over the years he's really come into his own. He's really matured. He's very professional right now. One of the most professional guys on the tour. Very consistent in his practice habits, and he's really come full circle since his junior days.
Got into that funky accessories stage too when he was at Bollettieri's. I remember being there one time where he had chosen, you know, he had gotten into a little bit of jewelry, a little makeup. Remember that?
He actually played a tennis tournament one time, and Nick was not really happy about this, but
Nick Bollettieri.
Nick Bollettieri. He played the finals of a tournament when he was 14, and he was playing the 18 and under division, and he won the finals wearing blue jeans.
15, 30.
What's wrong with that?
I don't see that at Wimbledon.
You don't see it at Wimbledon, true.
And Great Britain's Tim Henman losing the first set.
Yeah, Andre, he got into a few acquisition stages in his life where he was acquiring cars and airplanes. He's simplified a lot of things in his life to focus on, I think, to focus on his tennis game. I think getting rid of the distractions has been a good play for him. I think as he's gotten to understand more about himself, as he's grown, he's seen that he doesn't need that to bring him happiness. He realizes that a lot of his happiness comes right here on the tennis court when he's doing it well. He wouldn't get a lot of happiness out of that first set, but a little more joy here in the second.
Didn't get off a terribly clean return there. Taylor Dent continues to hold. All due credit to the 19-year-old American Taylor Dent.
Agassi 3-2 in the second set. Well, to this point, a rain-free day here at Wimbledon. We had some postponements yesterday. We're back on center court. And you can see how Agassi has raised his game in this second set.
15 long.
Andre Agassi got off just 5 winners in the opening set. He's already had 7. And 3-2 in the second.
I don't think Andre's made too much of an adjustment here. I think that Taylor Dent he's making a few more unforced errors, giving Andre a few more opportunities to play the way he wants to play. I think it'd be hard for Taylor Dent to play the way he did the first set this whole match. Already showing a few signs of fatigue, perhaps. Those legs look a little heavier there than in the first set. He had a lot of spring in his step. A lot of spring in that forehand, though.
40.
Shorter the points, the better it's going to be for Taylor Dent here. That will shorten it up nicely there.
Game, Agassi.
So Agassi able to hold serve for a 4-2 advantage in the second set after losing the first
Agassi
6-2.
by 4 games to 2.
Taylor Dent spent several years in Australia as a child. Spent most of his life in Southern California. The only time that Taylor Dent sounds Australian is when he imitates his dad. Says he does not have an Australian accent, and apparently does a pretty good Phil Dent impersonation.
I've seen him working on that from time to time in the locker room.
Love, 30.
Well, if Agassi is going to take this game here, we can write this set off. A couple loose mistakes there by Dent.
That is so pretty.
Beautiful lob by Agassi there. No chance for Dent to touch that one. Gives him 3 break points to take a 5-2 lead.
40.
Agassi. And there it is. See Agassi running. He's feeling it.
Game.
Andre Agassi in command in the second set.
Agassi.
Back at center court here at Wimbledon. Andre Agassi with a 5-2 lead of the second set. Hearing the applause of the crowd as he is about to serve to Taylor Dent, the 19-year-old out of California.
Agassi's waiting on the call. The applause seems to suggest that it was good.
Would it?
But it was called just out.
Just out.
You don't often hear that from a British linesman. Just out.
No.
Missed that one wide. That's a little casual for Andre Agassi at this stage.
Love, 30.
He'd only lost 2 points on serve coming into this game. Now he's lost 2 points as he's trying to close out the second set.
He's up 2 breaks. He might be on cruise control here this game. And Andre says that's unbelievable as he slips in the back of the court, where you can see the court.
Love, 40.
Get back to the court here. You'll see that the baseline where Andre is starting to turn a little bit brown, starting to wear in a little bit, but he was back behind that brown section.
Well, the save by Dent, and then Agassi able to put it away.
$15-14.
Still 2 break points left. Dent 2 or 3 so far on break points.
At this point, it does not appear that Andre is bothered at all by the injured back suffered Queen's Club tournament. Prior to that, lost in the second round of the French Open in 4 sets to Carol Kuchera. Bothered by a blister on his toe during the French Open.
Oh, he got him. Oh.
Again, Dent. Ball change, please.
Taylor Dent breaking serve. And Agassi will
leads
serve
5 games to 3
for the
new
set.
balls.
See, had a pretty good volley here. Dent shanks this shot, and Andre, I think he thought it was going out. It was in by plenty. He couldn't have gotten to it anyway. Those shanks will catch you by surprise.
Taylor Dent's looking a little tired, huh? Let's see if his form can hold. It's hard when you're trying to maintain your good form. And that's when if you are fatigued, your form can really start breaking down.
Love 15.
Can't quite extend as much. And again, this is what Andre Agassi knows and loves.
First service. Love 30.
5th double fault for Taylor Dent.
Takes a look at his knee there, as if that had something to do with the double faults. Looks like a golfer tamping down the spike marks after he missed a 2-footer. Didn't see him looking at his knee in the first set at all.
Look at that.
That's a tired volley, Mary.
That's a tired kid.
That's got to be encouraging for Andre Agassi to see that. He hasn't had to do as much work as he would have had to against someone like a Kafelnikov in better shape.
Set point
6 games to 3.
for Agassi. Takes it 6-3, so they're even at 1. On to the 3rd set. Dent
15 love.
taking the first set 6-2. Agassi coming back with the 6-3 in the 2nd set. Over on court 2, Goran Ivanisevic is down 2 sets to 1 to Arnaud Clément of France. Ivanisevic losing to Andre Agassi in the 92 Wimbledon finals.
Brad Gilbert,
30 love.
coach of Andre Agassi, and his kid Zachary watching on, and Perry Rogers, Andre's longtime friend. The only one missing from that box is Gil Reyes. Gil Reyes, Andre Agassi's another one of his very best friends, and the guy who's got it in such
14.
incredible shape.
Brad Gilbert, excellent player, 20 career titles, ranked number 4 in the world back in 1990.
Yeah.
It's a good opening game for Agassi there. The thing that's nice about Brad Gilbert coaching Agassi is Brad Gilbert
First
was
game,
not
third
a
set.
guy who
One
had
settle.
the talent or the ability on the court of Andre Agassi. What he did well was observe the other guys. He was a great tactician on the court. And what he's brought into Andre's game, he's brought his aspect of knowing and understanding what to do, what the other player's strengths and weaknesses are, and also pointing out to Andre what his strengths and weaknesses are and how to exploit them. He's really brought out, Andre's got a couple of go-to plays that I think Brad helped helped him see. He's got he likes the kick serve out wide on most surfaces, although it's less effective here on the grass, to open up the court
Love 15.
and go to the open court. And Brad Gilbert's done a fine job with Andre, pointing him in the right direction, in my opinion.
Do you guys like to see coaches allowed to be more involved, as
15 all.
usually we see during Davis Cup play?
Well, it is strange in tennis that you have a coach, you pay for that coach to come with you, and yet he can't help you when you're playing. So it is strange, but I think that the tradition of the two players being out there with no coaches, it's great, because every other sport, you've got someone that helps you. You have a caddy on a golf course. You've got someone in your corner if you're boxing. You've got to figure this stuff out on the fly by yourself.
15, 13.
Again, another sign of weariness in Taylor Dent's game. He was so tough at the net in that first set, winning 64% from there. Now he's dropped down to about 40. He's not getting to the net quite as easily.
30 all.
Isn't this odd? That's his 6th ace. He's had 6 double faults as well. His serve did so much talking for him in that opening set. And he
40,
needs it.
30.
The quicker the points, the better. Agassi convinced that serve was deep.
In the range of the machine. I know, but it's in the range of the machine.
You can hear Agassi saying, I didn't even play it, really.
Because the machine would call it. The machine didn't call it.
Andy Egley out of Switzerland in the chair.
That's by the rules. It's not a malfunction.
Andre pointing out that maybe the machine is wrong, which it is from time to time. There are times when they will have to turn off the service net machine. Not the net machine, but the service line machine. Another tired volley.
They are at deuce.
And I don't understand how Taylor Dent can be tired in a grass court match where the rallies are short. He's not doing an incredible amount of running, though Agassi is trying to make him do that. Really, as a professional athlete, that's one thing that he can control. He can control how hard he works and his fitness, and I don't see any reason for him to not be in nearly as good a shape as Andre. You can't expect everyone to be there, but he really needs to do something about his fitness if he expects to compete at this level.
Advantage, Agassi.
Agassi with a break point.
Yes.
The extra grunt from Andre trying to control that ball. Sometimes it works, not that time.
Is it a more difficult situation when your dad is your coach in terms of pushing the player?
I think it is.
Second service.
Talking about physical
Andre
condition.
Agassi certainly had that for a very long time.
I think it's very difficult when your father is also serving as your coach, because it's hard. It's a different relationship than it's not strictly a business relationship. As he hits another tired volley. Another break point for Andre here to go up
Advantage.
2-0 in the third set and start stretching out. Agassi not very good on break points so far. Taylor's been coming up with some good serves to fight him off. And there's another one.
Yes.
I think that that if Taylor was working with another coach, they would tell him, listen, you need to get in better shape. That's something we need to do to take you to the next level. And I'm not sure his father can say that to him. Sometimes you look through different colored glasses if you're the parent. You don't want to be that hard on your child. And we know Phil wants the best for his son, but sometimes you have to go outside of the family for the best help. I'm not saying that Phil's not a great coach, but he is. But clearly, he needs to get in better shape.
Beautiful passing shot by Agassi, and again a break point.
Actually, but Agassi won the point right here, Marv.
Agassi.
Having again and again to make those pickup first volleys means Taylor Dent is just not to the net as tightly as he needs to be. Another sign of weariness. Again, look at that. Look where he's making his first volley there, right at the tee. Agassi has effectively worn down this kid. He's 19 years old. Again, he's a qualifier, which means he's already got an awful lot of tennis in him. For that first set, he played glorious tennis against Andre Agassi. I mean, he just could not have played much better at all. Only 2 errors, 14 winners, hitting a very clean, hard ball. But again, I think it's true of most people against Agassi. You'd much rather have to play them in a 2 or 3 set situation than 3 of 5, where fitness becomes such a factor. Look at him here. Look where he's standing again. He's not even getting himself into the net.
15.
He pulled up short there. He could have come a few more steps there, but he just decided to set, make a little fake, and see which way Andre was going. That was not the right play. He needed to go ahead and come forward, try and close the angle off. There's a nice shot. It's possible that Taylor Dent spent a little extra energy in the first set, just hopping around and being excited about being out there. He might have drained himself just with his youth.
Can you find adrenaline in a 3rd set?
You can find that you can come back a few gears occasionally, but this is 3 out of 5 sets. You need to have a little extra in the tank. I'm just not sure his tank is filled up enough.
Our colleague Martina Navratilova has told me so many times she wishes, because she was always so fit, so much fitter than everyone else in the draw.
You say that with disdain.
No, I'm just saying she wishes that they got to play. 3 out of 5 sets. She would have loved it. She said it would have been a lot harder to beat me. And it is true. It's harder to pull off upsets over 5 sets.
It is. It's harder for a player. Easier for a player to get hot in 2 sets.
Right.
And all it takes is a quick first set and an early break. If you're serving well, you can run the match out before a player ranked higher than you even knows what's hit him. Speaking of hitting you.
Looking sharper as this match progresses. Hold serve. A reminder, tomorrow here on TNT, live from the Target Center in Minneapolis, the 2000 NBA Draft, with coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Draft coverage hosted by Ernie Johnson and a cast of thousands, including, I'm told, the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. They did not want him in the studio. They have him somewhere in the United States providing coverage, but will not be in the studio. Very dangerous man.
Dangerous.
We are back live at Wimbledon Center Court. Taylor Dent, the 19-year-old out of Newport Beach, California, got off to the fast start. It appears Andre Agassi wearing him down.
That is gorgeous. He times that so well. With a 2-handed backhand, it's often very difficult to hit a running shot like that. Easier with a 1, but Andre, just perfect timing, just knocks it right down the line.
15-30.
Ace number 7.
That was a much-needed ace there. Going down love 40 here. Hits down 2 breaks. It's very, very much uphill battle from there.
$15-40.
Couple of break points here for Andre. Go ahead and put this set out of reach. It's 4 of 11 so far. Make that 5 of 12. Big ripping forehand. Andre starting to feel comfortable out here on the court.
Agassi leads
That
by 4
swinging
games
forehand
to
he hit the last game. That one, that's going to give him a boost of confidence. And I think Dent is asking for a trainer, most likely, talking to the referee there.
No substitutions, Marv.
Now that would be unique. Let's call on so-and-so to
timeouts.
play the rest of the way.
Dad?
Well, the last time that his father, Phil Dent, was here on center court at Wimbledon, 1978, lost
15
to
long.
John Newcomb.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Phil's going to do a whole lot of damage against Andre. The game has come up in speed quite a bit since then with the graphite rackets. Andre doesn't like that call. I can't imagine there are that many guys bench pressing 300 pounds back in the 70s either.
The year before, 1977, Phil Dent, Taylor's father, was seeded 8th here at Wimbledon. He got himself to the quarters, upheld his seed, and lost to John McEnroe. Nice.
40 long.
Second ace of the day. A few weeks earlier, McEnroe had lost in the second round to Phil Dent at the French Open. So as they were preparing, I was with John the morning before the quarterfinal match here. And I said, well, what are you thinking? He said, if I lose to this guy again, I'm going to hang up my racket. He was a qualifier playing in his first Wimby. And that's what he said. And he beat him. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Game Agassi.
Andre Agassi taking charge. It's
Agassi leads
5-love
by 5
in the
games to 1.
third. We're live at center court on the left, and apparently there is a problem with the knee of Taylor Dent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the trainer
Don
is
Spreen, the trainer, checking him out. And on the right, you're looking at Todd Martin. He's 6'6", 205-pounder out of Hinsdale, Illinois, facing Fredrik Janssen of Sweden. Todd Martin will be next for the winner between Dent and Agassi. If Martin is able to hang on for the victory, he is up 4-3.
You see Doug Spreen spraying him down. Usually that spray will be a spray that should numb any kind of pain he's having.
That's not Pam?
That's not Pam whatsoever. Very cold spray. I never liked that. Of course, you're not too happy when a trainer's coming out to see you in the first place either, but that spray is very uncomfortable. Rubbing some cream on there, probably some kind of a hot cream, actually a contrasting cream that would be deadening the surface. He's obviously feeling some discomfort there. It's not a bad play for him as we see Phil Dent looking on. And Tom Gullickson off to his left, who former Davis Cup captain for the USA and now head of tennis development for the USTA. They have some people that have been working from time to time with Taylor, apart from when his father is working with him. One thing that could be good that comes out of this for Taylor Dent is that he's getting extra rest. If he's fatigued, this actually might help him as he heads on into the match.
Andre Agassi up 5-love in the third. We'll take a break. Back in a moment. Well, Taylor Dent had his knee looked at by the trainer, Don Spreen. Following the evaluation, allowed 3 minutes to make the repairs, and he is back on serve. Oh. 15-all. Agassi up 5-love in the third set.
Andre's got the momentum here, and he's determined not to let it slip.
30.
Firm return right at the body, handcuffs. Dent sets him up, goes right behind him. Agassi's won 8 of the last 9 games, and the train is rolling.
15-40.
Elsewhere, Henman 2-love in the third set, tied at 1 against Paradorn Sishapad of Thailand.
30-40.
Boy, if Henman doesn't stay in the tournament, they're not going to be too happy on Fleet Street.
Yeah.
It'll be totally the Anna show. Now there's a little bit of Henmania still running wild.
Game Third set. Agassi 6
Well,
games to love.
Agassi,
Agassi leads by 2
service
sets to 1.
break. He is rolling 6-love in the third.
The 2000 Championships Wimbledon on TNT are brought to you by IBM. www.wimbledon.org, the official website of the Millennium Championships, is an IBM e-business. By Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. By Circuit City, answers in every department, low prices all over the store. By March 1st, here's to being first, March 1st, a new world, a new way. And by Enron, ask why.
Back to Andre Agassi and Taylor Dent on center court, and Agassi continues to roll on. 2-love lead in the fourth set, and how this match has turned around. 19-year-old Taylor Dent taking the opening set 6-2, and then Agassi with a 6-3 second set, 6-love in the third. Like Dent hurt his knee back in the third set. You see the wrap on the right knee, but as you guys have been mentioning, it is certainly a major difference in terms of fitness when you look at Andre Agassi and Taylor Dent, a guy who's 11 years his junior.
It really is. When you think of the ability that Taylor Dent has as a tennis player, he's definitely a gifted player. He comes from great genes, strikes the ball very well. If he could play at the level he played in the first set, he's going to be climbing up the rankings very, very quickly. Taylor Dent only ranked number 256 right now. He can do a lot better than that.
3-love Agassi in the fourth set. And we're going to check in now on Todd Martin and Frederick Johnston.
Taylor Dent has had to abandon the match, Mark.
Back to center court. Taylor Dent has retired because of the knee injury. So Andre Agassi wins in 4 sets. He was sweeping his way through. 6-love in the third and 4-love in the fourth, and defeats Taylor Dent, the 19-year-old out of California.
And that was really a foregone conclusion anyway. No reason for Dent to stay on the court, risk further injury. Be interesting to see if he feels like